For today's lesson, we're going to go through 3 types of behavioral models that people use when they're trying to live healthier lifestyles or make healthy lifestyle changes. We will talk about the health belief model, the trans-theoretical model, and theory of reasoned action, theory of planned behavior. One of the things that everyone has when they decide to make a healthy lifestyle change is an expectation for success. That's why we pursue goals. That's why I'm going to have you choose some goals to go along with your wellness wheels that you made. And I would ask that you set goals or choose goals that you feel you are going to have success in, not just coming up with goals for goals' sake. I will ask that you name a couple goals based on your wellness wheel, and that these goals will have a healthy lifestyle impact on you. Make sure it's measurable and attainable in a reasonable amount of time. We'll reevaluate in December. And make sure that you're able to name 2 or 3 strategies for action that will help you accomplish that goal. And finally, describe how having an optimistic versus a pessimistic outlook can affect the success of that goal. And oftentimes we tell people to start out with easily obtainable goals or goals that you know you can be successful at. Because as you build successes, as you accomplish goals, you also build confidence, which will help you in the long run overcome some of the tougher goals. So you will have to come up with some goals looking at your wellness wheel. Goals can be to continue in areas that you are doing strong in, and goals also should be set for areas that you need improvement. I'll ask that you have some strategies for action. We'll talk about agency here in a second, but basically what agency is talking about is the feeling that you yourself can make something happen. Locus of control, that it is something you believe you can make a change and make happen, and it's not something that you're blaming on outside forces that are causing this. Expectations for success. So first of all, you know what goals are. We typically have had you make goals through the years. Think of New Year's resolutions, which often are goals that we make and we don't obtain necessarily. So I don't necessarily want them to be like New Year's resolutions. Setting goals always can help motivate change, especially if they're goals that you genuinely want to make happen and that you feel a lot of motivation for. Strategies for change are the plans. How are you going to make this goal happen? Is it obtainable? Are these strategies that you can make work in your life? Agency, as I said prior, is the belief that one can influence the nature and quality of your own life, rather than believing that one's fate is determined by reacting to circumstances that are not in one's control. An easy way to explain that is if you believe in predestination, everything's already determined in your life, versus you can determine your future and change it. The first model is the health belief model. This is often used in nursing school with practicing nurses. That's when you can explain and predict preventative health behavior. So you can explain it and you can predict what preventative health behavior would look like. It also is going to include general health motivation, motivating you to be healthy. by allowing you to distinguish between illness and sick role behavior from healthy behavior. And that goes back to agency, believing that you can impact your own health. Factors for health belief model include perceived susceptibility. That's an individual's perception of how susceptible he or she is to disease. If you believe I always get sick, I'm always the first one to catch it, I get the flu every year, then your perceived susceptibility is pretty high. I personally am that person who says, I've never had the flu, I never get sick, bring it on. So it kind of depends on how you perceive your overall susceptibility. Perceived seriousness. The belief a person holds concerning the effects of a given disease or condition. A good way to look at that is how oftentimes you'll hear, I know in my household, and I know on commercials and sitcoms on television that mom gets the flu or mom gets the cold, and by golly, she just keeps right on trucking. She keeps on making things happen, doesn't miss a beat. Dad gets a cold, and it's like, oh my gosh, he has the bubonic plague and he's dying. So it's kind of that belief that a person holds concerning how severe or how sick they really are. Perceived benefits of taking action after accepting your, like honestly looking at yourself and thinking, I'm kind of Debbie Downer and I always think that I'm going to get sick. When I am sick, you would think it's life or death. Owning what your perceived susceptibility and your perceived level of seriousness is. And once you've kind of figured that out, you could use a ruler to measure that. 1 to 10, how susceptible do I think I am? 1 to 10, when I am sick, what level of seriousness do I give it? So once you've figured that out, then the benefits, what are going to be the benefits of changing a lifestyle habit so that it lowers your susceptibility on that ruler and lowers the feeling of seriousness on the ruler. The action a person chooses is affected by his or her perception of how much the action will outweigh the costs. How much sacrifice will I have to make in order to be healthier, in order to not feel so susceptible? Barriers to taking action. There are always barriers to your goals. That's why so often New Year's resolutions don't work. A barrier, that's an action. An action may not take place even though the person believes in its benefit because of barriers, such as cost. If part of your goal is to exercise and lose weight, you might have decided, I'm going to join Planet Fitness. Well, barriers would be transportation and cost of membership. If I say I am going to start exercising at least 60 minutes each day, I can tell you right now with blended learning and the way school is going, that a huge barrier to that for me would be time, finding the time to make that happen. If you have chronic pain, if you have back issues, for example, pain might become a barrier. Cues to action. Internal or external motivators. Internal are going to be just that intrinsic feeling better because I exercise, feeling better because I'm eating healthier, feeling better because I did meditation. External motivators might be, look how much better I look now that I've lost 10 pounds. I can buy new clothes. The second model is trans-theoretical model. This acknowledges that behavior change is going to go through a certain set of stages, following stages. I know with in my community health worker class, we're going over how to do motivational interviewing with health issues. And part of being good at motivational interviewing is understanding this model and understanding the stages people go through as they make lifestyle changes. First, you have the pre-contemplation stage. That's where you're considering it. I need to lose weight. I've gained the COVID-19. I'm finding it hard to fit into my clothes. I breathe too hard going up the steps. I'm really going to have to do something at some point. Contemplation, that's when you're there. The person is aware that the change is desirable, but has not committed to act. So now I'm done thinking about it. Now it's like, okay, it's time to get serious about this. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to pack a healthy lunch. I'm going to make a point of exercising at least 20 minutes a day. I'm ready to do this. Preparation. Person desires change and commits to do so in the near future. Today's Thursday. Starting Monday, I'm going to pack a healthy lunch, and between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, I'm going to do some type of physical activity. So that's my preparation. Sunday, when I go to the grocery store, I'm going to have a list of items that I'm going to pack in my lunch. Then it's the action. So now it's Monday. I start the change. Or Sunday evening because I'm packing my lunch. Monday, I eat the healthy lunch and I exercise or do physical activity between 4:30 and 5. Maintenance, okay, it doesn't stop at Monday. I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep up that behavior. Even if I slip up on Wednesday, I'm going to go right back to it on Thursday. And typically people, if you do something for 21 days in a row, it will become habit. Termination. Person is no longer tempted to return to the previous behavior. So now it's become so much of a habit that I'm going to miss it if I don't do that daily activity. I'm going to crave salad for lunch instead of a candy bar. It's all going to become just part of my lifestyle change. Now let's talk about theory of reasoned action and theory of planned behavior. This involves changing a health behavior, adopting a new behavior intentionally on purpose. This intention is a combination of a positive attitude about the new behavior and a perception of how others will respond to the new behavior. So I'm going to quit juuling every day. And I know that this is going to take some effort on my part. But I also know that my friends are going to be happy that I'm making this decision. And my parents might not know that I juul, but if they did know, they'd certainly be happy that I'm making this decision to change this health behavior. Plus, I'm going to have more money to spend on other things. Change is affected by how much control the person thinks she has over changing the behavior. Juuling is something that I choose to do, and probably the most difficulty would be in overcoming the nicotine addiction. But I know with a positive attitude, support from my friends, and changing some of my behaviors that this is possible. Choosing a healthy lifestyle is up to each individual. You have to make that decision. That's where locus of control comes in. It's not predestination that you're going to be unhealthy or you're going to have an unhealthy lifestyle. There are always things that you can do to change or make it better. And this is where we're going to stop. And now I'm going to have you watch a YouTube video that talks about these theories more in depth.